Hey guys, welcome to Flashbacks, a Flash Rewatch podcast. A Flash Rewatch podcast. We are already off to a great start already. I'm Alex, your host, and I'm here once again with.
Brady, your other co-host this time. I am so ready to talk about this episode. This is definitely one of the greats of season two.
Yeah, definitely. But before we get into that, briefly, I'd like to talk about we're both kind of commemorating the last of something here. I commemorated recently with the previous episode, the last time I'd be watching Netflix with their broke player of trying to watch the the Flash on there. The pausing and everything is so hard with taking notes. I have the DVD complete series box set now, and it has been amazing. I almost like I told you before, like off mic, I have like too much power now, and you had an announcement too as well about like your current setup, correct?
Oh yeah, so I am getting I'm building, probably built by the time this goes up, a new PC. So I will be having less internet issues during recordings, and I will be using my headset mic for all future recordings. It doesn't work with my current PC, as I was telling Alex off mic just before we started recording, but hopefully it'll work because with my new PC because I have newer hardware. So I'm so excited for that because our whole vibe with this is more of just like conversational. And
Hmm.
so I feel like having the headset mic sort of helps convey that vibe a lot more than having like my professional mic I use for my gaming stuff and voice acting.
Definitely. So all that being said, we're here today to talk about season two, episode four, The Fury of Firestorm. And before I forget this trivia bit, this is named after a comic book. So The Fury of Firestorm, the nuclear or like subtitled The Nuclear Man, was the title of the second comic book in which he starred. I'm reading off the trivia for Wikipedia, being so named from 1982 to 86 when with the 50th issue The Fury of was dropped. I guess maybe they thought that was too aggressive. What do you what do you think?
I mean, yeah, well, it depends on also the year it released too, like the year that comic book was releasing. Because if it was like 60s or 70s, yeah, it might have sounded too dark for the character, like you said. Because when I picture Firestorm, I don't picture like a dark character. I picture like the life of the Justice League to a certain
Yeah.
degree.
It would be like naming like a Spider-Man book like The Scourge of Spider-Man or something like
Yeah,
that. Like it really wouldn't work.
Zack Snyder's Spider-Man.
Yeah, just like that would just be Spider-Man Reign at that point, let's be real.
I don't know what that is.
Oh dude, it's we'll talk
Oh
later
wait,
about.
no, no, no. Is that the Dark Knight Returns style one where they have the thing with
Basically,
MJ?
yes.
Okay,
Yes,
I've
yes,
heard
that's
of that,
exactly
but I've
that
never
one.
read it. I've heard of that one, but
Yeah.
Ugh.
I haven't read that for exactly that reason. I heard that and I said, you know what? I've heard enough. No thanks.
Radioactive cum.
Yeah, I was
Anyway,
just like, no. Come on, man. This is a family show. But anyway,
not
not really. We
bullshit.
cuss all the time.
We
That
do.
motherfucker
I
Barry.
have a
But anyway.
the motherfucking Barry. I have sailor mouth like that SpongeBob episode, dude.
I was watching the weird episode where they where Squidward accidentally goes to the future, like he like tries to get away from SpongeBob and everything, and then he ends up in caveman times and everything, like that episode where that
What the
meme comes
fuck?
from. I forget
I'm
what
gonna
it's
get
called.
my I'm gonna get my Gen Z card revoked. I have not watched that much of SpongeBob.
What
It's
season? The
just
first few seasons, if you would.
barely even a
No,
clip
I'd
from
say
the early seasons.
if you do
Oh,
go back,
okay.
definitely just the first few seasons. Those are still good
Yeah.
from my
I
memory. Or I've
I
rewatched some
do
of them.
plan to watch it at some point. I just haven't gotten around to it because I use Paramount Plus to watch Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. Which one?
The 2003 series, because
Okay.
I saw all of it in like middle school, but haven't seen any of it recently. So, well, any of the like later stuff, like past Fast Forward, I think.
Okay. Nice. So, yeah, I watched like a little bit of everything. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get into our plot summary. And I was kind of talking to like I guess you guys should know about this too because you guys listen to the show. I was talking to Brady, and I think this should be a little bit more conversational, a little bit more like because for me, I've noticed I've been kind of just reading off stuff, and like I think it would be more entertaining for you guys if I like try to read the notes, but also try to make it not sound like I'm reading notes. So like we're gonna go ahead and try this and just kind of get a feel for it. Anyway, that being
Yeah.
said, let's go ahead and get into it. So, we opened up with like a voiceover for Barry. Did you did you notice this too? Like that it was like they do this occasionally, right?
Yeah, it's very sporadic and selective what episodes they do it for, but yeah, that was immediately apparent was like, oh, he's doing a voiceover for the first time in a while. Okay.
Yeah, like you're aware because like I remember Arrow in like the first season because he didn't have anyone to talk to. They did that like a lot, like in those first few episodes where it was a heavy voiceover because like I think it was also they're still getting a feel for the show. Like the show hadn't quite turned into what it was yet for that one. Like Team Arrow wasn't even a thing yet, really, in that first
Yeah.
season until like a few episodes in. But yeah, like I think they're getting a feel for the new season. And for this one it serves a purpose. It's to kind of set up like thematically what's going on. And so it kind of opens up 2 years ago. And it like centers around Jax, where he's like a high school, like he's in a high school football team. And it's like he's with the Central City Falcons and it's like post game.
Yeah, this reminds me, I got heavy cyborg vibes from this. Like, just this intro was like heavily reminds me of Cyborg. And I'm wondering as well if people caught this on TV and they didn't catch the intro bit where the previously on Flash is just all Firestorm stuff and they just came in here, did
Yeah.
they think this was gonna be Cyborg? Because it is very cyborg coded, and I know Cyborg plays for Gotham, at least in most of the
Hmm.
adaptations I've seen. He plays for Gotham High, but I'm just wondering, like, did some random person watch this on TV when it came out and was like, "Are they doing Vic Stone right now?" And then they very quickly realized they are not doing Vic Stone. But that piqued my curiosity.
Now, is he original? Is he an original character or is he a comic book character?
Who, Jax?
Yeah.
I know there is a Black Firestorm, but I don't know if he is named Jefferson Jax. You saw, I will look it up.
All right, sounds good. So like yeah, so Barry talks about how like we obviously see like the Falcons, like it's their last game and they're talking about like some scouts being there and everything. And Barry's voicing over it, talking about how everyone thinks they have their life figured out, but life has its own plans. It's whether you like them or not, you're left with a choice. You can either embrace the change and move forward or fight it and get left behind. So like we get to meet like I mentioned earlier, Jax and it like he's getting hyped up. It's friends and teammates. One's in crutches, that'll kind of come into play later. And like they're like hyping him up, talking about he won and everything. And he corrects him saying we won this game. Shows he's humble. I like that. So he gets home and like he tells him to like his coach comes up, tells him to get home and celebrate with his mom, and then off in the distance we see the particle accelerator explode. He alerts his teammates and they run. He picks up his friend in crutches and trips. Like he's the last one in, and like kind of that heroic act is kind of what does him in a little bit, and he gets like flung into the wall, absorbing the energy.
Yeah, so he's a character. Jefferson Jackson is a character in the
Okay.
comics. He appears in Firestorm Volume 1 from 1982. I didn't read the whole biography because I don't want to bog this down with the
No, it's okay.
comic biography. That's for our other show.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so Jefferson Jackson is a character from the comics. He was the second Firestorm after Ronnie Raymond.
Gotcha. So like we kind of know what we're doing here. Like I
A
should have
little bit.
probably
You want to
probably
know
looked
how
that
I
up
know?
before.
You're not going to be shocked by this. You want to know how I know there's a black firestorm? Because
Well, I
there's
know
a
it's not from.
Lego of it.
I was about to say no, it's not from Smallville, but
No, there's a Lego of it. They have Ronnie and Jefferson as minifigures. Don't
that's
have
cool.
either of them, but I know they exist.
The surprisingly, Smallville did not have Firestorm in it.
Yeah, from what you and Ben have been telling me about characters they do on Smallville, I am very surprised they didn't at least attempt Firestorm.
It's weird because it's like you think that they could. Yeah, they weren't even. That might have been too fantastical for that show,
They
possibly.
had Blue Beetle. What are you talking about?
That was like in
Firestorm
the
being too
last. That was in the
fantastical.
last season, man. Like at that
Oh,
point, like they
that
had
was when they
Dark
started
Side and
getting
stuff.
into all the Superman stuff was
Well,
in the
they had the
nineties
fourth
and the
world. Yeah, in
what?
the last season they have Dark Side, and like it's very grounded, but they have like a shadow version of Dark Side.
Brother, I need to watch Smallville.
Expectations for Darkseid keep him very low because you only see him as like a shadow and like stuff like that,
I
and
mean,
like
it was late
Smoke Monster.
90s.
It's early two
Oh,
thousands, not late 90s. I'm not
yeah.
that
Oh,
old.
I thought it was, sorry, I thought season one was like 99 or something. Oh, no, I guess because
2001.
they were, yeah, because I heard a 9/11 story about Smallville, but yeah, so
Yeah,
I don't know why I thought 99, but regardless,
you
yeah,
were probably
I
thinking of Lois and Clark, maybe.
I might have been, I may have been, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, I need to watch this show because y'all were
They have
telling
a
me the other day they got Hawkman on that.
actually have a really good Granny Goodness in there. Like that's one of the few that they do great. Like she's in there, but she is just like a creepy old lady that shows up. But like the casting is good. Like they
I mean,
do a
isn't
good
that
job.
kind of what Granny Goodness is? At least in Young Justice, she's this fucking horrifying, creepy old woman. And I
And
know she appears in Justice League Unlimited, but I haven't seen all of
Superman
JLU yet.
animated, she's voiced by Ed Asner, which is so funny.
I know, yeah, Justice League. I know she's voiced by Ed Asner in Justice League Unlimited. I haven't seen all of Superman the animated series though. I don't know if she is in that, but it's hilarious that Ed Asner plays her in Justice League.
Definitely. So, we get past the opening credits, and we're in present day. Stein is still convulsing, his head on blue fire, now on a hospital bed at the lab. Cisco holds Dr. Wells's original stabilizer device on his chest, but Caitlin yells they're losing him. It's like really tense at the beginning.
Yeah, kind of a dark and like dreary way to set up the episode. Like Martin Stein's fucking dying.
I'll say this, and I keep saying this, but season two is a lot darker than season one
Oh
so
yeah,
far.
100%. Yeah, we're getting really into the weeds of the darkness of the Flash. But I
Yeah.
mean, if you know the season, which hopefully you do if you're listening to this show, kind of necessary for later episodes.
So like he's able to turn it on, like the actual device, and it like subsides the stuff, but we know that like he's getting worse. Cisco has no idea what Wells used at like basically what Wells used as a power source. He's been using the battery he kept hidden to power his wheelchair. Caitlin asks how long that battery will last, and he says that's the problem. They already used most of its energy trying to dampen the metas, and we get a call back to during the Rogue air trip with Weather Wizard and company. Cisco guesses a few days at most. So like he's already on borrowed time as is. Like that's the thing that really
Yeah.
sucks about all this.
Yeah, also, I was confused by that callback because I completely forgot that Rogue Air was even an episode. So I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? And then I went on IMDb and I was looking through like,
Oh yeah, we
tr
reviewed this.
yeah. Well, I wasn't on that episode, was I?
Were you?
No, because Rogue Air is season one, I
I'd
thought.
say we collectively, as
Okay,
in like
yeah. Yeah,
you're on the
like as a
finale.
podcast, yeah, but I wasn't there for a majority of season one, so I didn't remember that Rogue Air was an
You were there in
episode. So I was like,
spirit.
yeah. I was in the Speed Force. Y'all had
There
to
you
use
go.
the speed cannon to get me at that bitch. Um, but I was just like, what the hell is he talking about? And then I was like going back through our old episodes and I was like, oh, it's in season one episode. That's why I don't remember it.
Yeah.
It was also
So
probably one of the filler episodes.
I like that episode, but so he's stuck in bed until he gets up. Then they'll transfer the stabilizer to like a power cane and get him moving. Kaylin might have an idea on how to save him. the way she says this, you think that like it's gonna be like this big like revelation or something, like not like, well, let's just find another guy to like fuse with
Yeah,
them or whatever. Like I thought it was gonna be this
yeah.
big like this techno babble thing. It's like, no, let's just find another person.
Yeah, especially if you don't know anything about Firestorm like I really don't. You're kind of just like, okay, what kind of medical contraption, science bullshit are they gonna whip up to keep Stein alive? And it's
hmm
just a fucking dude who's probably my age in the show.
Yeah, it's like they say like, just like anyone would, just find someone hit with the dark matter that could fuse like Ronnie did, stabilize them, molecules, blah blah blah. Anyway,
The
to fix their
science
current
bullshit.
problem. Yeah, basically, I had a hard time in my notes, by the way, not just writing like science stuff. Sometimes I'm like, no, I have to be very specific. Then other times I'm like, it's one of those things, and I know I get like this sometimes too, where like I listen to podcasts and I'm like, I want them to say the actual thing. Sometimes I get
Yeah,
mildly annoyed, so I'm just like, for the other person out there that has that weird like retentiveness where it's like, say the actual thing. There you go. Like I
weird,
wrote down some of
specific
the things.
autism slash ADHD.
Yeah, yeah, like focus thing. Anyway, Kaylin says that like we're kind of alluding to, she needs to find another participant. And then this is one of my Cisco has a lot of great like jokes in this. Cisco says, "Okay, cool. Are we gonna make a Tinder app for potential metahumans?"
Yeah, I put
LOL.
that in my note too. I was like, this is fucking hilarious.
He goes on, because I'm pretty sure merging with Stein and bursting into flames sounds like the biggest swipe left of all time, which I found like really, really funny.
Which, fun fact, before now watching this episode, don't think I understood that reference.
Really? Like
Well,
Tinder?
before, because I had never used a dating app the last time I had watched this episode. You
Hmm.
know, before I met my girlfriend, I did use dating apps, so now I kind of get the reference. But I think when I was younger and I was watching this, I was like, the fuck?
Yeah, because I remember like Tinder kind of took me back. I actually met my wife through Tinder. So like I think at the
Oh,
time when I was listening to The Flash, I might have had Tinder. I'm pretty sure I had Tinder downloaded. So it's like
huh.
that. I think also that was popular. I don't know what I think like a lot of like people use like Hinge maybe or something now or
I
something like
used
that.
that. I used that and a couple other ones.
Yeah. There's like a few other ones. Tinder is kind of, I think, turning into the Plenty of Fish, which I don't know if I just completely sailed over your head with that one or not,
I
like the
know
age
what
gap.
it is from listening to true crime videos, but from what I understand, Tinder is just sex, the app, pretty much.
It's so funny because I found my wife on there, but yeah, it's
I
a lot
know,
of people
but
there are
like,
just like wanting to hook up. Yeah, so like Kaylin has found two potential matches that meet all the requirements and have both been exposed to dark matter. If she gets the sample she needs and is able to determine the perfect match, she may be able to save them. What's up?
sorry, I'm cracking myself up over here. I just thought of the best thing ever. This episode is, I don't know another way to say this, so I'm just gonna say it how it is in my head. This episode is so gay coded, and it's hilarious because we're watching this in June, which is Pride Month.
Oh yeah, happy
I
Pride Month,
just,
everyone.
yes, happy Pride Month, but I just cracked myself up over that. I'm like, holy shit, this was the perfect episode.
Oh, don't you worry. I got some notes in here. It's definitely coming up
So
because
do I.
I had some similar vibes with like I literally have one that's just a quote, but we'll get to it.
Oh yeah, I think I have the exact same quote.
So like Barry runs and gets like at first I didn't know what he was doing because like you just see like him grab something that was like Jackson like his we see him working like an auto repair place and then we see him run and get something from Hewitt and like Hewitt like rubs his neck or something, so I'm like, did he get like a tissue sample or something? Like no, he's actually getting blood samples from both candidates and I'm like, did Jax bleed on something? Like, how did he get? Because you only
Well,
see like something
it
move.
yeah, it looked like it was very obviously like a sci-fi device, but it probably has like a needle of some kind in the
Oh,
thing,
he did
and he
that. I
just
missed that.
I
I
don't
must
know. I'm just guessing.
I must have missed that then. Because I
Yeah,
just thought
'cause
he
I
picked
don't.
up one of his tools or something.
Yeah, 'cause they show him
Weird.
coming back with like two blood vials, but also Barry
How
is
much
fast
blood did he
enough.
get?
It looked like a shit ton.
Yeah, because he
I
just
was like,
rubs his neck a
fucking
little
hell.
bit, like a little, like he just got like a little pinprick or something. Not like he like sat there and like filled it up or something.
Yeah,
That's
dude, like
crazy.
even when you get flu, or at least me, I don't want to speak for you, but even when I get flu shots, I bleed profusely.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, that's weird. I didn't even think about it. I guess you're not really supposed to think about it. But
Yeah.
so he arrives back at the lab. And then we after that we cut to Joe's house with him and Iris inside. She's looking at an old photo album of her and her mom, and there's like this really cute story between them. And this one I'll get a little bit more specific. With certain notes, I'm going to kind of get a little bit more specific because it requires it, and then other ones
Yeah,
I'll
you
kind
kind of
of
have to.
yeah, with this one, like Joe is like looking at the like looks at the picture, and like her holding the ice cream in it, like little Iris, and it's like she was 3, tells her a cute story about how she got shots and kept. It's funny we were talking about needles and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, talks about how she got shots and kept crying that the nurse pinched her, so they took her to the park and got her first ice cream, which was a mistake because after that she asked for Mimp Choplet Chip over and over again, which I thought was really funny. And then apparently that
Yeah.
sparked her liking that a lot. I actually have a funny story. When my sister was little, she couldn't say chocolate. Like this is when she was in kindergarten or something. I don't think she listens to this, so
Yeah.
she's never gonna hear it. But so she would say chocolate instead of chocolate, and like she was in kindergarten one time, like they were asking her, it's like, "What's your favorite?" Like they had to go around and ask people different things, and like this little kid asked her, like, "What's your favorite like ice cream flavor?" And she was like, "Chocolate." He's like, he looked at her, it's like, "What's chocolate?" Like that, and she's like, chocolate. And it's like, "You mean chocolate?" And then she's like, it's embarrassed. "Why didn't you tell me that?" Mom's like, "It was cute. Also, you were like in preschool." Like, come on.
That's like what my sister used to say. We were trying to get her to say freckle, and she was like, my this is my little sister. She was like 3 at the time or something, and we're trying to get her to say freckle, and she just kept saying fucker like over
Oh
and over,
God.
just every time we got her to say it. It was not in public, so that's the upside. But she just kept going fucker. I was like, whoa,
Yikes. That's hilarious. But so it's not hilarious, this thing they're talking about.
yeah,
He's talking to Iris. He kind of tells her like, "Hey, if you don't want to do this, you don't have to." And then she's just like, he's like, she wants to do it basically. And then like he's just like talking about like my brave little girl or baby girl. And then she's like, "I take after you." I thought this was really sweet, this whole part.
yeah, definitely one of the more heartfelt moments of this episode. This is definitely going in my heart humor spectacle, not to, jump too far ahead, but that's
Yeah,
definitely what I'm put down for that.
nice. And then we cut to CCPD. And hold on, everybody, everybody, shut up, everybody. Patty is here. My
Shut the
favorite.
fuck up!
Yeah, everybody's here. Favorite character of the show is on screen. Everybody shut up. But anyway, that's literally what my notes say in all caps. But
Oh, wait till you hear what mine say. I'll wait till you mention the thing that brought up me putting this down, but go on.
so she stops Barry like he's walking down the stairs, and she says she's been looking for him and would have called, but she doesn't have his number yet. Like I have like a little like a little side eye thing, like, "Hey, I see you, I see you, Patty."
The
No.
side eye emoji.
Yeah, and then I say he starts to offer, but she says she wanted to show him something that was found in an alley off Eastwood Avenue. There's shark teeth. A witness said he saw a shark walking on land. A man shark, as Patty says.
Sharknado.
Yeah,
That's what it says in my notes.
King Shark setup. Like it's like a quote, "A man shark sounds like a bad sci-fi movie," is what Barry says, and then she goes like, "More or an awesome sci-fi movie," and he's like, "Totally." And then my notes, "Ugh, she's so cute. I can't, bro."
Which, hey, that I don't blame you, number one. Number two, that sci-fi movie they referenced could have been a Sharknado joke, so I wasn't far off.
Possibly because Sharknado was like I feel like a 2010s kind of thing, so it
I
definitely
think so. I know my dad used to talk about it a lot when I was a kid. He's like, "You want to see the worst movie ever? Watch Sharknado." And I
there's
still haven't
worse
seen it to this
movies.
day.
He hasn't seen The Room, but
I don't think he has.
yeah. But so Barry asks if she thinks it's for real, and she says she knows it sounds really wacko. Batman Forever reference in my notes. I don't think you'll even get this. This is a very like obscure, weird reference. It's from a Flow Rider song, but it says I'd say like the
What the
Batman
fuck?
Forever reference. Wait, hold on. And then I say, I see you, Day Getter. Let's get him.
I see you, D-Getter. Let's get 'em.
Like that's
What?
literally
Did you smoke marijuana before we
Bro,
started
that's a
this?
lie. I'll send you the song later, but like that's actually a lie.
Okay.
Like in one of Flo, you know Flo Rida, like the like the
Yeah,
singer, right?
I've listened to My House, and that's about the only song I know from him.
It's that one where he's like, you know how na 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 as I go. It's like the club can't even
Nope.
handle me right now. It's that song.
Oh, that sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, but like that's why I wrote that. Like I see you, Day Getter. Let's get him, because like that's the
Dude,
guy who's doing the beat in that song.
okay, out of context, you just sound like you smoked a lot of weed before we started this.
Nah, man, I'd probably be asleep if I was doing that. But
I the opposite effect on me.
we're gonna see what doesn't make it in the episode, and this might be
Oh,
it.
yep.
So,
My
but yeah,
bad.
no, you're good. But that little like singing part might be anytime something doesn't make it, I might like clip that out and put that in. But she says it sounds wacko anyway, but nothing seems impossible now that they've had metahumans. I mean, fair point here, right? Like the whole
Yeah.
so Wacko, for people that don't know, because I was talking to you before, Chase Meridian in Batman Forever says, like she says it at other points too. She says at the very end when talking about Edward Nygma that also randomly, because I was recording something else, superhero stuff you should know. We were talking about the Batman Forever Schumacher cut. I have these right here. It's almost like they knew that we were going to do this episode
That
today.
fucking Riddler is the goofiest action figure I have ever seen.
I love it, man. With the box, they should have had this in the movie with like the box on his chest and everything. Like that would have been kind of
Yeah.
cool.
Would have been a better application for it than just putting it on his head because it makes him too similar to Mad Hatter at that point.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, the whole wacko thing is just like her referring to Edward Nygma, and then like Bruce like what was that a technical term? So like there's like another
Is that a
reference.
technical term?
That technical term. But yeah, we'll get into the other reference in this, like a bunch of weird Schumacher Batman references in this. And I did I did some research online. I couldn't find anything. You know, maybe just somebody because it wasn't as much in the zeitgeist. Like people did like that movie, but it's not like now where there's been this big resurgence where people really want, you know, really focused on that movie. Like back then, that wasn't really as much of a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Back then, they were both the Schumacher movies were just the shitty Batmans that no one talks about.
I'm glad it's the whole narrative on that has changed. So Patty says she thinks it'd be fun for them to work together on the case. Barry says he'd love to work on anything with her, but metas aren't really his thing. She says it's fine, she'll handle it, but Barry offers to he's like, wait, hold on. He offers to run a test to see where the teeth came from. Nice save, man. This is what I put in my
Oh
notes.
yeah,
Yeah.
smooth.
Yeah, because Barry's like, whoa, hold on. Not so quick now.
Barry Smooth Move Allen over here.
He
That
could
motherfucking Barry.
Yeah, yeah. That's when he ain't quite he hasn't ascended to that level yet.
That was for you, Will. If you're listening, that was for you.
Yeah. Joe asks her how her man shark case is coming. And Joe's really when he like basically like she mentions that Barry is running tests and like Joe kind of looks over him like, really? Kind of thing. Like, what are you doing? And then after she leaves, he's like if I didn't know any better, I'd say you're flirting with my partner, which I found really funny. He's giving them a lot of shit in this episode about him and
Yeah,
Patty.
he's just ragging on Barry the entire time.
Yeah. And then like Barry does a terrible job brushing that off. He's like, "What is it with you and Iris and my partners?" Fair point, bro. Fair point.
Yeah, there's a lot of inter entangling drama in those circles. So yeah, maybe Joe just needs to find like a new police precinct or a new job or something. Go to Gotham,
Just
where
get like
Barry's not there.
just get like an older partner, like the one he originally had, like that was like really old and no one showed
Oh yeah,
interest
yeah, yeah.
in.
Oh
Or
yeah, him. The guy I completely forgot his name because he's only in literally the pilot, and then they kill him off.
Barry's asking about Iris, and he says that she's nervous about meeting her mom after all these years. Just then he gets a text about Stein at the lab and has to go. Joe will cover him with Sing. I like that, like in universe, like he covers for him, and like kind of like 'cause he's got to be gone a lot. It's got to kind of be like a Superman
Yeah,
and at the Daily Planet type
or like
situation
a
going on
Peter
there.
Parker Spider-Man situation,
Ain't
like
no
if when
ain't
in
nobody
stories when
covering for
MJ
him
figures
there.
out, yeah, when MJ figures out Peter's like, "Hey, I'm going. You gotta tell this teacher or this college professor I'm going wherever."
I just meant his personal job. It's a good thing he's freelance because he can kind of just disappear and it's fine. I feel like if he was like a
Yeah.
staffer there, it'd be a lot more like, all right, man, like where do you go kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, cut to Star Labs. Stein says he's never imagined the Sphinx riddle. He's testing out the cane and like he's like the whole Sphinx riddle about like the three-legged man would apply to him. But he'll like happily comply, basically.
Did you
Um
think of, by the way, when he said that, did you think of the Riddler thing from one of the audio tapes in Arkham Asylum, like the really fucked up one, when it's like it's something about a baby. It's like what walks on four legs, then two, then one or something, and it was like a really fucked up riddle about a baby.
Not necessarily, but I have been
Okay.
playing that game a lot recently.
Yeah, I've been playing a
Um,
lot of it too. That's why I thought of like, is he talking about the thing with, I doubt it, but my mind just went to the Riddler thing from Arkham Asylum.
Actually, because I've been listening to, I haven't read it again yet recently, but like since like All-Star Superman, since that's heavily inspired by, or like they're using a lot of inspiration for that for the shirt you're wearing, the Superman James Gunn thing. Like I thought about the riddle of the Sphinx where like he's got Lois like and like the little necklace thing that she wears and that's actually his, and she's like passed out, and he makes to save her life, like he makes someone answer like what's the like what does the unstoppable force do when it meets the immovable object, and Superman thinks about it for a second. He's like they surrender, and the Sphinx like I'll take this
Oh,
answer. It's like I'll take this answer
oh,
basically and lets her go.
huh. I still have to read All Star.
It's good, man.
I got months. I'm going on a vacation soon, so that might be one of the books I bring with me is All Star, so I can read it before I
Yeah.
see the movie.
Yeah. Caitlin says like hopefully he won't need the cane much longer, and says that there was no agulation in the blood samples and cross matching was negative for both, and it appears with the dark matter in the explosion from the explosion mutated their genes in a similar way to Stein's. They're both potential matches. Barry asks, what do they go with? Caitlin's first choice is Henry Hewitt. He graduated summa cum laude from Hudson University with a double major in applied physics and bioengineering. Stein likes him already due to him being a Hudson boy, which I found kind of funny. So Barry looks at the monitors and asks about the other candidate, Jefferson Jackson. Jefferson Jackson was a high school quarterback, as we kind of saw earlier. He's a good student, though.
Yeah.
4.0, GPA. He's got the physical attributes down, Barry says, and most of it's alleles. Like, I didn't really, because
Alleles?
alleles, is that what it is?
It's
Match that.
something I remember from science class. It has to do with genetics and
Okay.
like
Yeah, because
parenting.
they had said that, and I didn't really necessarily understand what they were talking about. I just kind of rolled
Yeah,
with
I
it.
have vague memories of it from like middle school, high school science and biology classes. Also, for people who are curious like I was when watching the episode, yes, Henry Hewitt is a character in DC Comics. I'm just gonna tease right now that he is a character from the comics. I'll go more into his sort of backstory later when we get to the point in the episode. Yeah, he is a character from the comics because I Googled it. I was like, okay, is he an original character? Like, did they just make this up for drama? They didn't.
Gotcha. He matches more of the. We're just gonna call it the Lilies or whatever. match than Hewitt's. Doesn't that mean he's more compatible? Barry asks. Caitlin says, on paper, perhaps, but Hewitt is a scientist. Clearly, he's trying to make something of his life. Oh, I do not like this side of Caitlin, and this pissed me off when she said this, man. Did
Yeah,
this make you mad
Caitlin's
too?
not necessarily, but I'm
It
just
just
like,
sounds really
she's
classist.
acting, yeah, she's acting kind of strange in this, and I get it because, they're dealing with Firestorm, it's her dead husband, it's a whole thing going on here. But I just noticed she was acting a little bit different.
Yeah, it was like because that comes across wrong, like, and then like her whole thing, like where it's like there, that's kind of a loaded thing when you're like judging, like, what if that is really fulfilling for him? Like, you don't like you're making a lot
Yeah,
of presumptions, basically. But
yeah, like I said, fucking weird in this episode.
yeah, she thinks he'd be open to something like fusing with Stein, talking about Hewitt. Barry wisely thinks they should meet with both before they make a decision because, like, Caitlin, and we'll kind of get into this later, she is like full steam ahead on this. Like, she kind of wants to rush this along, and I do get it to an extent, but like, she kind of needs to like pump the brakes a little bit because, like, she is trying to
Yeah.
rush this process.
And especially like that's the part to me that doesn't make any sense because I get it, in this DC universe, these heroes are necessary. But again, you're dealing with a touchy subject, especially for that particular character. So you think she would be the one that's like, guys, why do we want to? And I get that also Martin Stein's
He's
dying,
gonna die.
but she
He's
would
gonna die, man.
yeah, but they should have just made that like a slower process and made Caitlyn the one in the episode who's just kind of like, why are we doing this? We saw what happened the first time we had a firestorm. Why are we doing this again? Because
You want a
of all
firestorm
characters,
again? This is how you
yeah,
get a firestorm.
but she seems like the perfect character to do that for because of not only her connection to Firestorm, but I believe she has been that way in the past in past episodes. So like that's the one part that doesn't really like I don't really jive with all that much. I'm just like she should be a lot more against this than she actually is.
Yeah. So anyway, Stein says that's an excellent idea, and Caitlin says she'll see if she can get Hewitt there. Barry like says in the
In the
meantime.
meantime, I didn't even catch you did that.
Oh man, it wasn't even intentional. But in the
No.
meantime, they're gonna go check out Jefferson. And Cisco says he'll try to find something to help keep Stein stable. Cut to the hallway as Cisco runs down it, and we see someone who looks like Wells follow ominously behind him. How do they have cameras everywhere? This is one thing I just thought about now. How do they not know that he is just like roaming the halls?
Maybe they just haven't thought to check, like they've thought, oh, we dealt with our Wells crisis. We don't really need to check these fucking cameras anymore. They,
That's
and to be
over.
fair, they have not had a break-in to like Star Labs where one of them hasn't let someone in. And actually, wait, no, I think they literally just fucking had one like an episode or two ago where
Yeah,
somebody
Jay.
got in. Yeah, okay. But other than him, they just haven't really had anybody unauthorized get in. So maybe they just haven't had a need to check the cameras, but my money's on the writers just forgot they had cameras in Star Labs.
Yeah. Anyway, we cut to Jefferson's workplace, not a repair place, what we kind of established earlier. And Barry and Stein arrive, and I think the I think the captions is just like it didn't say indistinct, but it was just like rap music playing basically, and like you can't really tell what they're saying or anything. So Stein questions if
Imagine that song like says something really bad. You just can't hear it with how low it is.
I think that the CW, let's give the CW a little bit more credit that they would at least catch something like that.
True, but to be fair, they also, as brought up in a previous episode, one of the VFX artists caught a nip slip before the actual like production team did.
That is fair. So, like, Stein is basically questioning if they're in the right place. Barry says it is, and that Jefferson's a mechanic. They don't see him at first. Barry rings a bell. Stein says, Being a mechanic indicate a strong technical aptitude, and that's a positive," is what he says. I can't. I'm not Cisco here. I can't do a perfect
And
impression,
and that's a
guys. But
positive.
yeah, there. That's a little better. But we should just get Brady to do some of the some of the
Ronald,
voices. Okay, maybe
you
you're
need to
losing
get
it a little
inside of me,
bit.
Ronald.
Okay, that's That's enough.
I
But
had to do that one just for fun.
This is what drives me crazy though too. Bro sees Summer leave and says, "Oh, he's prone to allergies." Like it's a negative. Like everybody doesn't suffer from like a little occasional allergies.
Yeah.
Like
It's
that
like
was such a weird thing.
he looks at it and has like the most disgusted tone in his voice. He's like, "Oh, he's prone to allergies. That's a negative." It's like, "Bro, what?
Like
Do
you're the
you
picture
not
of
get?
health over here, bro.
You literally are dying, bro. Like you have no room to talk about allergies being a negative, Stein."
Anyway, he roasts his taste in music. Man, ain't come across great in this episode either, is what I said.
To be fair, he is dying, as we've established
To be,
before. He's in a
thought you were about to
rush
say,
to
to be fair, he's old, and so maybe this music frightens him or something.
his old man brain can't handle modern Gen Z music.
They start, they should have a scene, like it should be like a post-credits thing where like Jefferson's trying to like introduce him to like some of his music and everything. He's like, oh, Jackson, I can't listen to this. It's like
He's
he
like,
says.
Jefferson, what the hell is this fetty wap you are listening to?
He tries to go turn it off, like he tries to control his arm to like turn it off with like one of the arms. He's
What the
like,
hell are
no,
you doing? Your music sucks.
yeah, that's our version of it. No one would watch it, but anyway,
Well, my version of Firestorm involves a smoking device that uses fire to light it because I feel like that fits for Firestorm for some reason.
you making a weed reference? Like, what is this?
Yes, like a
Oh,
bong.
okay, gotcha. Okay, I was just
Like
making sure.
my comedy version of Firestorm that exists up here is a stoner because I think that fits for Firestorm for some reason. And it's also funny.
So like he's basically roasting his music taste, and then like Jefferson does appear, and he's like, "Would you prefer Celine Dion instead?" And then he's like, "I got the Titanic soundtrack in the back," which I found funny. So this is also like a reference. Like Victor Garber plays like a prominent role as Thomas Andrews in Titanic, and Thomas Andrews was a British businessman and shipbuilder who was managing director and like head of the shipbuilding company Harland and Wolff in Belfast, Ireland. He's on the Titanic. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, so he plays a role in there, so that's like just a little like reference there, which I've kind of appreciated.
All right.
Yeah. Barry shakes his hand and says, says Jefferson Jackson. He's like, people call me Jackson then. Like I think Stein says like, ooh, catchy. And this will also I put this in my notes. This will also help me shorten my notes with a nickname so I don't have to type out as much. Is
Yeah,
what I
that
put in
that
there.
definitely helps. I also have another note about Cyborg. I'm like, if they do Cyborg in the DCU, I could so see this guy doing the role. Like he would kick ass as Cyborg.
Definitely. So they introduced themselves and lie, saying they're with the Department of Safety, a small and newly formed agency. Very new. They probably don't even have a website yet, do they? Stein says as he hilariously locks eyes with Barry to check. I thought
It
that was
gave me
really funny.
supernatural vibes, in like the early supernatural episodes where they just pretend to be like FBI agents or whatever. It gave me vibes of like that.
Are you a Supernatural fan? I've watched a little bit here and there.
Eh, I've watched like the first season. It's good. I didn't have really a desire to go watch past season one.
Very episodic. I know that people say if you're gonna watch it, watch season 1 through 5. I mean, you can still watch it if you like it, but season 5 kind of ends in a way to where, like, if you want to check out after that, like, you're good, kind of
Yeah.
thing. Like, it ends in a
It,
satisfying way.
it's kind of like this show where if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna be as vague as possible. Something happens in season three. Is it three or four? I think it's three with Barry. Something happens with him, and it's like you can just check out of the show at that point, and you really, in my opinion, won't be missing much.
Hey, come on. We want people to watch till the
Well,
end, don't we?
okay. I didn't say it was bad. I just said you're not missing much. Like, as in, it's a good point that if you do happen to check out, it's a good ending to what you see of the show.
Are you talking about Crisis?
I'm talking about where he goes into the Speed Force.
Oh, I'd have to rewatch that. I don't.
I think it's end of season 3, but it could have also been 4. It was whatever season was right before Elongated Man got introduced.
Oh, that was the end of season three, I think. But
Okay.
anyway, we are getting so off track. We got
Yeah.
I got a lot of notes. Jackson's like, if you guys need to see any license or anything, we're up to code. And they're like, it's not about that. They're collecting data on people affected by the particle accelerator. Jackson's like very against this. He says he's lost time from that. And like he just doesn't want to go into it. He says if they don't have a car to fix, he can't help them. Stein says he'll come back to like basically if he'll come back to Star Labs with them, then he can help them. Jax is like, how? Basically, they know what it did to him, and like basically he asks like Stein's like, why don't you talk about that? And he said his life changed. He got hit hard. He woke up in the hospital with busted up leg, torn ACL, and that combined with the look on his mom's face let him know his pro football dreams were over. And so like that really sucks. He got
Yeah.
off a little easier than Cyborg, obviously.
Way easier than Cyborg.
Yeah, Jesus. But
Just Cyborg like loses half of his damn body.
but Brady's going into action mode over there, moving
Sorry,
around his
I'm
you're
adjusting my
good.
webcam. My angle was pissing me off for audio listeners. My angle was pissing me off, so I had to fix it.
Yeah.
Now
So
I'm in Batman 66 fucking Dutch tilt. Oh my gosh, I have to fix this off camera or off mic.
it's okay. Anyway, so he says he has to get back to work, and Barry gives him a slip with their number on it, telling him to think about it. They leave, and Jax like looks at it, like pondering. So we cut to Jitters, where we see Joe and Francine. She thanks him for organizing a meeting between them. And he's like, "Hey, this is all Iris." So Iris walks in, and he introduced her to like her absentee mother. Francine tries to clasp her hands, but they slip away, and Iris awkwardly basically, but Iris basically does this with her hands, like where she like kind of like nets them together like awkwardly because like she's
Yeah.
uncomfortable. Man, this is already kind of tense. Joe asks if he can get her a coffee or something, but Iris says no thanks. She wants all of them to sit. I was not like we're about to get into it. Francine says she can't believe how much of a beautiful young woman she became, and a journalist. She's so proud of her. Iris, why are you here? And then I note, oh my God. But
Yeah, just fucking blunt Iris. Damn.
dude, but she's like, why now after 2 decades? And she's like, I want to make this right with you. It's like, how about you start by apologizing for walking out on us? And then she's like, I am sorry, so very sorry. There's so much you don't know. And she's like, I'm sure you've been through a great deal, and I can appreciate you feeling like this is suddenly the right time for you to want me in your life, but that doesn't mean that it's the right time for me. Joe like kind of stops her here for a second. He's like, Iris, it's like Joe's like, no, Dad, it's okay. I've thought about this a lot. And this wasn't fair for me to make you the bad guy. So I want you to hear this from me. I don't hate you, Francine. I do wish you well, but we've lived separate lives for over 20 years. Let's keep it that way. Iris drops the mic and leaves Jitters. Damn, why isn't she written this well more often? Like this scene,
Yeah.
bro. Yeah, this was crazy. Thoughts?
I, basically the same as you. Like the minute she sits down and goes, "Why are you here?" I was like, "Where the fuck did that come from, Iris? Like, what the hell? Would you just switch from Iris West to Lois Lane mode with your freaking journalism skills?"
No, it's great. And then I guess just getting kind of personal for a second. Brady, you obviously wouldn't know this because we've never talked about it. And also the listeners might not know this. So I have like my dad. My dad adopted me into like my mom is my mom, but my dad is like my stepdad, but like through adoption is my dad. And so like my actual dad left my life when I was like 7. And
Oh
so
shit.
yeah, and so like it was one of those things where he left for a while and then like tried to come back, and it was one of those things where like for a while he was there but then left again. Later on in life tried to friend me on stuff, and I was like, I'm just kind of done. Like I didn't say anything, I didn't respond or anything. So I can definitely understand where she's coming
Yeah.
from here. Yeah.
Jesus. Sorry to hear that for you, man. Damn.
It's okay. I had someone like kind of like Iris with Joe. I had someone that was there that was like a good parent that like showed me like what a like what like a dad is basically, and like what like a good parent
Yeah.
on top of my mom, like both of them, like what good parents are. And so like I didn't miss it as much, say, if it was just me and my mom, basically.
Okay, yeah, that's at least that's good, but yeah, that this must have hit you like a bus. Like, holy shit, I
Nah,
relate to that a lot.
that's why I was rooting for Iris. I was just like, why don't they write her like this more, is like what one of my notes is in here.
Yeah.
But she's great in this. I kind of wish that, and like I'm sure that Candace is the same way in this, where she probably wishes they gave her more to work with like this, because this is that I'm gonna go ahead and say it now. This might be like one of her best episodes.
Oh yeah. I thought you were gonna say this might be the worst Iris Allen or Iris West in
Oh
history. I was like, let's not go
no,
that far
no.
because there are irises that are introduced for like 10 minutes of a fucking movie and then just disappear and
Oh,
then come back in the last 10.
I thought you were talking about the one from the '90s show for a second. That's
No.
just in the first one and breaks up with Barry Allen, like in that one. Like, and it's like, well, I guess I'll stay with
Who,
you.
but because I
I
watched
know you
the
just got hit by lightning, but it's
yeah.
about me now.
That was fucked up. I watched the pilot of that on YouTube because it's on YouTube, and I was just like, I saw the woman who's playing Iris. I was like, who the fuck is that? And then they say she's Iris. I'm like, that does not look like Iris.
Yeah, I don't think they knew what to do. I think it's one of those, and I think they've talked about it too, where they wanted Barry to kind of be single, so you were more okay with him kind of like dating around and everything, which is because in that show he kind of dates around, like he's not like exclusive. I know that Tina's kind of like the end game of it.
That's not what Barry Allen's supposed to do.
Oh, I know, but
I'm
like
kind of
again,
bothered by that.
well, if you're gonna be bothered by that, be bothered about how in a lot of live action Arrow adaptations they don't have him ultimately end up with Black Canary.
Okay, that kind of pissed me off a little bit too, especially since I was just playing Injustice 2 a little bit ago, and their dynamic is one of the best fucking parts of that game.
Oh, they're great. Cut to Star Labs as Hewitt chuckles, saying he always thought his destiny was like meant for greater things and people, of course. Caitlin looks thrilled and said, when it's all said and done, flying will be the least impressive of his new abilities. Cisco looks less sold on this, and we're definitely getting to his thoughts on it. So anyway, he goes, finally achieving the promise of the atomic age. Barry and Stein walk in, asking her what's going on. Barry does not seem pleased. And this, she says she's happy they're back and introduce them to Barry and Stein. He immediately ignores Barry and goes over and shakes Stein's hand. I already don't like this guy, is what my notes say. What do you think of this guy so far?
I remembered this episode, so I kind of went in with like, okay, this guy is a dick. But this was like, no, this guy's not a dick. This guy's a freaking asshole. Like, he doesn't care about Barry. He just wants to talk to Martin Stein because of something we find out later that he may know more than Barry thinks. So I was kind of just like, yeah, this guy's an ass. I
Yeah.
don't like him very much.
Definitely. Weird thing, did he also kind of like when he gets angry later, he kind of weirdly, and it might just be like a face acting thing, he reminds me of Samuel L. Jackson a little bit, just with
I
how
didn't.
his eyes flare up and stuff. It's a very specific thing.
Oh, yeah, I guess I could see that. Okay, yeah, I can
Not
kind
like a
of
one for
get
one,
that
but
part.
just kind of they make
Yeah,
the same facial expression when they're angry, like the eyes flaring up and everything.
yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
got that.
Yeah, so like anyway, he starts immediately kissing Stein's ass. Caitlin, isn't he great? Cisco, he's got an ego the size of Texas, but yeah, he's all right. Like I love that. Like
Yeah,
Cisco's
I
like, I
love
don't
that
like this
one-liner.
guy. Caitlin asks where Jax is, and Barry says they need more time. Cisco's like they don't have more time.
Which is
So
not
then,
good.
yeah, they need another power source. Kaylin wants to go, like I said earlier, full steam ahead, and she says Hewitt is in, and she's told him everything about the Firestorm Matrix. And like to be fair, I'm with her on this because it is a big life change, and they need to like the person signing up needs to kind of know what they're signing up for. Do you agree?
Yeah, I can see why she would tell him because it's like you said, it's a life-changing thing he does need to know. And they could not have known that had it not worked, he would have gone psycho.
Oh yeah, they're about to find out who they're dealing with.
They fucked
They're
around. They're about to find out.
Yeah. They're already socially bonding. Cisco says, funnily, they have two Dr. Steins. Like, if it works out, they'll have two Dr. Steins. Caitlin says forcefully it will, and he's like, yeah, kind of like, that's how he lives it.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, kind of thing
Yeah,
is what he does.
kinda, yeah. It was doomed from the second they said, "Oh, we're gonna have two Dr. Steins," because yeah, that's not how Firestorm works. You can't have two
That's not
smart
how
people.
the Firestorm works. That's not how the Speed Force works.
That's not how the Speed Force works. For some reason, I
But
thought of Alex Jones.
oh God, don't bring him up. Cut to Cisco. He's about to put the splicer on his chest, telling him he'll feel a rush. It's a molecular primer being released into his body. Then when he makes contact with Stein and the Firestorm Matrix, basically he'll take over and they'll fuse together. It doesn't work, and then they try again. They weren't compatible after all. Hewitt is fuming, saying it was all for nothing. Stein says no one is more disappointed than him, and Hewitt says, "Don't be so sure about that." He says next time try to get their act together before they get someone's hopes up. He storms out and is boarding the elevator when his hand gives off some nuclear flames. Dude like goes from 0 to 100 like in like the course of like 2 seconds.
Gave me PTSD as well because a teacher scolded me with those exact words one time. Well, similar words. He didn't say before you get someone's hopes up, but he scolded an entire one of my classes in like early high school. And yeah, that kind of traumatized me a little bit.
Oh shit. You could say he went nuclear. Don't look at me like that, Brady. Brady's getting up to leave.
I'm a head out the one SpongeBob meme.
How would you know you haven't seen SpongeBob? But
I
anyway.
know about the memes.
Oh man. Anyway,
When you're an
so
internet kid like me, you know about all the SpongeBob memes.
yeah. Cut to Mercury Labs.
Merkbury.
Yeah, I know how to talk. I'm totally a podcaster, but we hear
I was like,
Tina
you do
say,
this all the time. How do you fucking manage to do that?
I don't know, it's just an off night maybe. But
I'm just giving you shit.
we hear Tina saying to move the show and tell to next Tuesday. I didn't know my girl from the OG Flash was in this episode too. I'm so happy whenever they bring her back on.
Yeah, I forgot she was here too, but as we see later, you kind of need her to be here. Like, not that I would complain she's here anyway. I don't fucking know she's from, well, I do because of you know that she's from the original Flash, but I just don't have that attachment to the character. So when I see her, I'm like, oh, cool, she's here.
Oh,
Okay.
good. Cool. Alex will be happy about this.
Yeah,
But
I literally thought, I'm like, oh, Alex will think that's cool. Okay.
so anyway, we find out she's just listing off stuff for her secretary to do and ask if where they are with Snow's replacement. Before she can answer, a snow alarm. An alarm goes
A
off.
snow alarm.
A snow alarm. It's really snowing in there. Turns out that Frost came a few seasons earlier and froze the inside of her lab.
That is the best fuck up you have made today. I'm sorry, that's fucking hilarious.
I might just leave all these in.
Shit, a snow alarm. New Flashbacks t-shirt.
The Wells lookalike broke into Applied Scientist and stole a weapon. Tina thinks it's Harrison. After the break, we cut back to Mercury Labs as Tina thanks Joe for coming. He introduced her to Patty, and she sweetly says she was sad to hear of Detective Thon's passing and to please extend her condolences to his daughter. I thought that this was really nice, like that
Yeah,
she took the time to
that was
say
a
all this.
nice touch. I also want to just quickly mention I have no note that I haven't chimed in because I haven't had very many notes for the last few sections because I was just so invested in the show at that point. I turned my phone off. My phone had turned off and it was like to my left. I was just invested in the show and then I remembered shit. I'm supposed to be
I gotta
I
have things
note
to
take.
say.
Yeah, I gotta be funny, so I put my phone
Funny.
back out after a certain time. Hey, fuck you, all right? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just
But
kidding. I'm just getting you earlier for all the making fun of me with the with
hey,
my flubs.
I was joking. But
Gotta keep you on
regardless,
your toes, man.
I know you do, Jesus. But regardless, I was just like, I realized after a certain point while you've been talking, I was like, I really don't have notes for these sections.
So, like, she called him basically saying it was a private matter. He asked what was stolen, and she says it's not so much what was stolen, but who stole it. Harrison Wells did it. Joe looks surprised, and Patty says he's dead. She mentions that the circumstances surrounding his death were inconclusive, and if there's any chance he could still be alive. Joe says zero. She said the only difference is he's walking again and mentions that like she trusts like his discretion. She gives him full access to the lab and leaves. And then Patty goes, first a shark man, now a dead man walking. We need to call Barry to get him in here first. Joe immediately like stops that. He's like he can't hear about this. He's got a lot on his plate. His friend is sick and like he needs his help. And Wells is the man who murdered his mother. Patty asks if he's okay, and Joe says Barry is fine, but he can't hear about this. And Patty says she's not really good at lying. Joe tells her he better learn quick, and then Patty says, "Yeah, definitely," really unconvincingly.
Yeah.
Like kind of, and then like one of my favorite scenes is coming up here. But so we cut to CCPD. Oh, actually, it's after this. Patty and Joe arrive and see Francine. Joe tells Patty to go ahead. Joe tells her this is the last time she shows up here, and she says she needed to talk to him again. She's sick. He finds that out, and then basically like she leaves right after that. But before she leaves, we do find out one thing, and this is the other Batman reference. We do find out that she has McGregor's. They don't say McGregor's syndrome in this, like in Batman and Robin. They just say McGregor's in this, which apparently it's common among addicts. Why? Like, why do you think that they did this specific thing? Because for me, it's just like that's the thing that Alfred had, and I'm like, this is such a serious
Yeah.
like storyline, and to incorporate that, like, why is that your callback to the
I think
Batman
it was
movie?
just I can't even come up with an explanation. I know why it's called McGregor syndrome, but that's
Because the
about
the
it.
producer, right?
Yeah, producer Peter McGregor Scott is why it's called that. But yeah, I have no idea why of all fucking Batman references, this is the one they choose to use, but I'm all here for it. I also thought my note just says, is this where she tells him about Wally? Oh, nope, it's a Batman and Robin reference. Because I really thought she was gonna be like, "Hey, you have a son," and it was gonna be the whole Wally West thing. But then I was just like, oh, uh, I forgot that.
You know, we get that later, but I was thinking maybe they did it just because this episode is so heavy. Maybe they didn't want to be like an actual real life disease or something, possibly.
Yeah,
Maybe it's that, but I don't know.
could be. I
Um,
don't know.
and then Joe asked her, like, is that why she came back? And then she's just like, she wants her daughter to know her, to clean her, and then then she actually leaves. I think I jumped the gun earlier when I said that, but anyway. So we cut to Star Labs. Barry's glad Jax decided to come. He asks about the treadmill. Cisco says it's a cosmic one. I love how comic booky this show can be sometimes with like the
Yeah,
cosmic treadmill and everything.
that
Um,
mention did kind of feel a touch unnecessary, though. There's no real content. He just points out the treadmill and it's like, oh yeah, it's cosmic. I'm like, you could have found a better way to say that. You could have just been like, oh yeah, that's called the cosmic treadmill. Don't worry about it.
it's all right. Like it's
It's
okay.
it's
I
a
don't know. It
stupid
didn't bother
thing.
me that
It's a
much.
it's a stupid thing to nitpick about, but I'm just like, okay, you could have got to that
The
point a
phrasing could have
little
been better, is your
better.
point, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
that's the point I was trying to make is you could have
I
got
hear
to
you.
calling it the cosmic treadmill a little bit better.
Yeah. Jax is very like misled about how he thinks this is gonna go. He asks if they have some billion-dollar man tech that'll fix his knee. Did you get this reference, the billion-dollar man thing? I know what it's a reference to the Billion Dollar Man, the show where like they're talking about like faster, like stronger and everything. They build this
You
guy
mean the
like everything.
$6 million man?
But he says billion-dollar in this, so
Oh,
maybe
I
it's
was like,
maybe it's different.
I know there's a show that's called the $6 million man because I've heard people bring it up before.
I don't know because it's like it sounds like it's a reference to like the because the Bionic Woman was like a spinoff of it. So you might be right, but maybe
I
they
don't know.
Anyway, it's not worth. We got so much other stuff to look up.
Yeah.
Somebody correct us in the comments if you
Yep.
care. But yeah, all
Or
two
Ben will
fans
message us after the episode.
all two fans of that 60s show that no one talks about, go ahead and add us in the comments. But anyway, they give him the rundown of what happened with the explosion. He asks if he's one of those metas he hears about on the news. So Jax calls Stein gray, and Stein doesn't really like it and says call him professor.
Call me professor.
Yeah, and like I kind of like that he calls him gray. Like
Yeah.
yeah. They say his body, like Stein's, might have the capability to process fission and fusion, make nuclear blasts, and fly. Cisco says that last one, like, it's not the coolest one. Like, out of all of them, like, the blast stuff is cool. But, like, if you had the ability to fly, I'm like, that would be, like, the number one. That would be the coolest, man. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I would love, well, I don't know. I'm deathly afraid of heights, so maybe flying wouldn't be the best for me, but on paper, if I wasn't afraid of heights, yeah, I would choose flying 100% over any of those.
Yeah. And then he can only do it when fused, and Jax laughs all of this off, calling it crazy. Like, basically, they can only affect those powers when they're fused together. Which like fair. Like if I was just
Yeah.
randomly in some random lab and they started just throwing all this weird science stuff at me, even if there were matters, I'd be like, this is I'm leaving. But
Yeah, he's also not as closely attached to it as Team Flash are, like the whole meta concept. Like,
they've
you
had
know
time
he
to
knows
adjust
about
to it.
yeah, true, but still like you said, he'd probably still be like, "What the fuck? You're insane."
Yeah, Barry and the team urge him to reconsider, and he says they have the wrong guy. Caitlin says he could be a superhero, and he's gonna dismiss it that quickly. Caitlin calls him out, saying his test scores were good enough to get him into college, but he didn't go, and asks why. One setback, and then you fold. Well, then maybe you're not the guy for us anyway. I get she's mad here, but also this kind of goes into my thing earlier where I'm like, you do not know this guy's circumstances. Like, you don't know, and we find out later it's also a financial thing. So like she is just once again like assuming a lot, and I'm glad that like as we're gonna get to later, she kind of grows from this. But like a lot of this, I'm like, oh, the optics of this aren't good. Like
Yeah.
you are like kind of a waspy looking like white person, like calling out someone else of like that doesn't have probably all the opportunities you were afforded, and you're like calling them out on stuff you basically you don't even know what's going on with Jax at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe Barry and Stein told her some stuff, but the rest of it she was probably just like making up or based on not making up. She was inferring based on her research that she did because she obviously did research to determine his grades.
Yeah. Barry says like Jack before he storms out, like trying to get him to stay. And then Caitlin just throws her hands up angrily. Stein says maybe it wasn't meant to be. Barry says he may be their last chance. Kind of annoyed at Caitlin, like fair. She says he said no to being a superhero, and who does that? Barry didn't. Like she's like Barry, you didn't. And then she asks Cisco if he would, and he says a chance to have superpowers. Sign me up. Hilarious considering Homeboy already does have powers. I'm sure that was like one
Yup.
of those like, oh yeah, I totally would be like a superhero, you know.
Yep, because he says it like a chance to be a superhero. Sign me up. Like he's hiding something, and we
Yeah,
know what it is, but it's gonna take Barry, Caitlin, and the rest of Team Flash a lot longer.
definitely. Barry points out they're asking him to change his whole life, and like that's literally a point that like Caitlin was kind of making earlier, that's like it's not an easy decision, and like kind of put all up front. And he was like, it's not an easy decision. It took him a long time to figure out the whole hero thing. Caitlin says that's exactly why they need someone who wants to do it. She leaves to get Hewitt back to try again. Cut to night at CCPD. This is one of my favorite scenes. As Patty looks over a file with Barry in the lab, it was human DNA after all and not a man shark. She's gonna file it under never gonna happen, and she has another case anyway. Barry asks if he can help her with it, and she says, no, 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 no. Detective said definitely not. She is so cute, bro. It's what my notes
Yeah,
say.
she poor Patty. She can't lie to save her life.
Yeah. And then he asks if everything is good, and she proves she can't lie or have a decent poker face. When she goes, "Sure, why, Barry?" It says, "I don't know, you're just acting different." She's like, "No, I'm the same old P. Spivot, you know."
Yeah, she's definitely one of the other comedic highlights in this episode for
Yeah.
sure. I
And then
I
she
like
goes,
her.
I love this little bit of acting. She goes, "What?" Like he had said. So I was like, "What? Actually, I have to go, but thank you so much for testing this. I'll see you." And then my notes say, "Golden Retriever energy. Joe only has Golden Retrievers as partners confirmed," is what my note says.
Yeah, or is she blonde too? So that makes that even
They're
more
both
funny,
blonde,
like dirty
yeah.
blonde. Yeah,
They're both Eddie and her. I don't know what the
yeah,
original partner. I think he had brown hair, so that kind of
yeah,
goes against
probably.
that. But yeah, whatever. What he didn't last. But anyway,
Yeah,
none.
freaking
Well,
Shire.
yeah. Two. He had the weird line delivery too. That was my father's pen.
That was my father's pen.
Like almost like Christopher Walken esque. Like I don't know.
I can't do walking.
Barry, that was
Barry,
my father's
that was
pen.
my father's pen.
That's I don't know who that is.
I that sound more like fucking John Mulaney. Like it can get weirder. I just
Oh,
wash my
that's not
hands. That's why they're wet. No other
that's not
reason.
bad actually. That's pretty good.
Thank you. I've never
Um,
tried Mulaney like that before.
but yeah, but Barry scoffs as she leaves. Cut to Joe having a sad thousand mile stare, like that kind of like a lot
Oh,
of
the yeah, the
vets
thousand
have it
yard
and stuff.
stare.
1,000 yard
Yeah.
stare. It's called different things. Like Barry comes to talk to him. He says Joe like a few times before he finally gets his attention. He tells him about Francine and like Joe's like I haven't told Iris yet. He asks if he needed something, and Barry mentions that Patty said he doesn't want him on some case they're on. And I like that he says he'll let him like he's like no, it's like he'll let him know basically. Like Joe's like no, like I'll let you know when I have a lead, which I kind of appreciate. Like he's not saying no, I'll never tell you. He's saying no when I have something solid. Basically, I'll let you know about
Yeah,
it.
he's like, I'll tell you eventually, just right now is it's a little far-fetched and crazy.
Yeah, and then like I love this next part. He's like, "What's up with you and my partner anyway?" He will
Yeah,
not let this
that was a
go.
pretty funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, Joe is just hell bent on it. Maybe he ships Barry and Patty like
I
we
have a
all
note
did.
about this. Like, there's literally a note that said, "Hell yeah, Joe ships it too." But he says he's talking to him. He says, "Bear, you can't take your eyes off that girl." And then he's like, "I don't know what you want me to tell you. She's great. I mean, she's adorable and funny, and we have a lot in common." But and he's like, "But this is what." Joe's kind of making fun of him, and
Yeah.
yeah, he's like, "I don't know. She's not Iris, I guess." He's like, "Right. You've known Iris since you were 10. You've been in love with her since forever. I mean, you two are friends now, but she was your first love." Like he's like, "You're never gonna feel the same way about anyone else, but you can't let that stop you from exploring something new." And I'm like, I wrote this is good advice, man, because like that kind of
Yeah.
because he knows like obviously at some point like through the time travel and everything that him and Iris will get together. But in the meantime, what's the harm in at least exploring this and seeing where this goes?
Yeah. You're allowed to
Yeah.
date other people, Barry.
Seriously, you're not married yet, man. You're not even in a
Yeah,
relationship, so go for
it
it.
doesn't say Barry and Iris got married immediately in the future article, dog. Like you can slow down. I know you don't know how to do that, but you can slow down a little bit.
Yeah. So cut to Hewitt in his darkened lab, bitterly watching a news report about Flash Day. His boss is harassing him about some reports that are overdue. And like basically like he's sitting next to this green glowing giant tube, insisting he'll get to the stuff tomorrow. His boss brings up his arrogance, thinking he's the smartest one there, but he's tired of him not doing his job or showing up. He threatens to fire him if he gets any more trouble from him. He erupts in anger, asking, like basically from asking if he'll get his project, from one of the lab rats. Like, you get your project from one of the lab rats, or report me to the board. The electricity begins to flicker more and more. The reason I brought up that tube is I thought that was going to come up at some point because he's sitting next to this big, like long, like cylindrical, like green glowing tube, and I thought that was going to factor some way into the story, and it just never did.
Nope,
Did you
does
also get
not.
that vibe too? Because it was kind of prominently
Yeah.
featured.
Yeah, I was like, Why are they focusing on it? Because I didn't remember anything about like a green, almost like light tube looking device, like how they have like the lights in like school buildings. It kind of looked like that to me. So
Oh, that's a good point.
I was just like, I don't remember them using this. They don't. It's just
Yeah.
there. Like I don't know what the fuck it is. It's just there.
Hmm. But
I
yeah,
also put
go
in
ahead.
my notes because I didn't remember if they gave him like a villain name for this character. So I was just like, I wonder if they're gonna call Hewitt Deathstorm. I think I brought up Deathstorm in the last episode, but I was just like, I wonder if they'll call him Deathstorm. They don't.
They're probably saving that. I don't know if they actually ever got to Deathstorm and the probably Legends or something. I feel like by that point Legends was much more of a comedy, so maybe not. But
Probably not. I don't know. Like I've mentioned before, I haven't seen Legends yet, so I don't know.
Legends is solid. I definitely recommend it. But that first season, they don't quite know what they want to do, but in the second season they have kind of first season solid too, but it's just a little bit more serious. And then the second
Okay.
season they kind of have like a Legion of Doom in it, like with like a lot of
Hmm.
the characters you've met so far teaming up into like their own like little smaller version of the Legion of Doom.
Huh.
The not Tom Cavanaugh version of Reverse Flash is in there
Oh
as
shit.
the Flash, and he's trying to run away. Spoilers for seasons like season 2 of Legends of Tomorrow, but he's trying to outrun like the Black Racer basically, which
Oh
is great.
shit.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay. Dude, I'm probably gonna watch it though, just because Brandon Routh alone is the main reason. I'm like, okay, he's not playing the character I would want him to play, but he's still a fucking great Adam. So I need to watch it just for that fact. Like, I'll bring this up here because I don't know when I'm gonna bring it up again. It would have been
Okay.
so cool to get to see him as Ted Cord, because you mentioned
He's
that in a
basically
previous
playing
episode.
Ted Kord in that show a
Yeah,
little bit,
he's
yeah.
just Ted Cord disguised as Ray Palmer. But yeah, you mentioned that in a previous Flashbacks review, and I was like, holy shit, that makes so much sense. Like
Yeah.
if they do Ted Cord in the Blue Beetle like sequel, I don't
Hmm.
want it to be fucking Jason Sudeikis. I want Brandon Routh as Ted Cord.
I'm sure he'd love the paycheck too, but
Oh yeah, he would get massive money. And it's not
definitely.
like he would have any objections to doing it. He's fuck. He's worn a super suit before.
I have him
He's worn
back
two.
here. He's under the giant Flash statue. He's like sitting like I have a Adam figure back here
Oh, cool.
of him with like with the mask off. Like he's got like an interchangeable head basically, where
Oh,
it's like the one where
oh,
you can
cool.
put the mask up, and then the other one where it's just Brandon Routh head on it
Oh
basically.
shit. Yeah, I just put that up recently. It's from a Superman magazine, but it's a Superman Returns poster.
Nice. Anyway, like Hewitt's consumed in an orange glowing fire, and he says he'd like to see him try to get rid of him, and yells at him to leave the lab as the overhead lights spark. Cut to a news report about a spontaneous energy malfunction erupting last night at Ekimer Tech, and they say Hewitt is wanted for questioning. What's funny, I don't know if you noticed this too, but the graphic below the reporter says another metahuman strikes Ekimer Technologies. You think that the reporter and the graphic wouldn't be saying two different things?
Yeah, that's we I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I don't know if it was just one of those things where maybe they weren't on the same page whenever they were, doing stuff, and they're like, it's gonna be on the screen for like 2 seconds, no one will notice, just, like push it
Yeah.
through. Kind of because they don't focus on it. Like I had to actually pause it exactly at the point where she was talking to get the full what the graphics said, but still, just kind of like a little funny production flub, basically.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'll have to go back and look at that.
But yeah. So at Star Labs, they watched the report, and Caitlin says the dormant abilities must have been triggered by the merger. If he doesn't get stabilized like Stein, he'll pop his top, as Cisco says. He's got a long history of violence according to his police record. They didn't find it, but Cisco hacked in and found it. One count battery, two counts aggravated assault, and court ordered anger management therapy. And then all of a sudden, before they can get into that more, Stein starts convulsing again. He rights himself though and says Hewitt's stability isn't the only one in question. Like it's just a little joke. He goes to lie down, helped by Cisco. Caitlin says he's getting worse and Hewitt's like this because of her, and now Jax won't come back because of what she said. She just didn't believe he had what it took. Barry says this isn't because she didn't believe in him and says something great, or basically says like kind of what he kind of like hijacks what Joe said earlier. He says sometimes great possibilities are right in front of us and we don't see them because we choose not to. And then I said probably relating it in his head to Patty, and then like with this one, definitely sending that point home. I think we need to open ourselves to exploring something new. So like I thought this whole thing was cool, like him taking like what Joe's earlier lesson was and kind of applying it to like his current situation.
Yeah, he seems to do that a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like it's not like this show. Like I'll give it this, and like this we'll kind of hammer this point home later. This show has messages in it, which is kind of nice. Like it has like some
Oh
positive
yeah.
like life messages in it, which you don't. Some shows are just action and that's it. And this show, you actually get some life lessons in that, which I do appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, having a just action show is also fine, but sometimes it's nice, like you say, to have the shows with the little life message. Like I like both that and the just action shows just as equally, but it's nice.
Yeah, definitely. So cut to Joe's place as Iris says skeptically she's dying to Joe. She still doesn't think she can see her, and he says that's fine, but they need to be crystal clear about this. If she wants to have a relationship with her, it's okay with him. She doesn't have to protect him. He's a grown man that's dealt with these feelings a long time ago. Iris skeptically asks if he just believes her, but she's not buying it. And he says, despite everything, like all the bad stuff she's done, she wouldn't lie about this. Iris says she only said that after Iris told her to stay away, and I'm like, that's fair point. He just wanted her to know everything to make the best decision for herself, is what Joe's saying. She still is her mother and says no matter what, he still has her back. I hate that defense, like that whole thing, because that's like
Yeah.
something. And I know Joe wasn't saying it like oh like she's still your mother, because like that's something without going too personal again, somebody would be like, I've heard that from someone before in my life where like, oh, that person's still your father. I'm like, kind of gave up that right when they left though. Like that's not
Yeah.
that whole thing of like it's extending that nicety to someone who doesn't want anything to do with you is kind of like messed up.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a very complicated issue though, and everybody's different. I'm not going to sit here and try to make, decisions for other people's life, but just for me personally, it's
Yeah, just from the perspective of you, like as someone who's gone through that, that's your 2 cents thrown in.
yeah. So anyway, cut to Jax as they close up the shop and Caitlin awkwardly stands there like before he's like in the garage entrance. And then I love this line from him. Let me guess, you don't have car troubles.
Let me guess, you don't got car troubles.
Nice. She apologizes and he sarcastically accepts it and he says that so it's like we could use your help with Stein. And he's like that desperate, huh? And she says yes they are. And then she goes into like her backstory, says my husband Ronnie, he used to be Professor Stein's other half. That's the quote. That was the quote I was talking about earlier.
Oh,
Happy
that's
Happy
not the one
Pride,
I
everyone.
have. That's not the one I have. I think it's this part coming up. There's something Martin said that I was like, that sounded a little bit gay.
Hey, what's wrong with
It's
that? You
when
got a
they're in
problem
Star
with gay
Labs.
people?
There's nothing wrong with it. I was just like, it's funny because it sounds gay, but it's not meant to sound gay.
We all know what Stein does with like he might have one of those open relationships. You never know.
I mean, he does say his wife is out of town.
It's out of town a lot, I've noticed. Anyway,
Yeah, maybe there's something going on there.
we're just like breeding all this stuff into Stein's character. Like one week we're making him like a murderer, the next week we're saying he has an open relationship with his wife.
Tune in next week for Martin
See,
Stein, Closeted
no,
Alien.
he won't be there. Remember, he's not coming back till season three.
Oh shit, you're right. Tune in next year
We'll have to
for
make
Martin
fun of someone
Stein.
else. Let's
Oh,
find someone
true.
else to pick on.
Well, I'm about to in this scene.
Yeah, so she tells him that he actually helped build the accelerator, talking about her husband, and he got affected by it too. And she says, ironically, it was how he was able to show the world what he was truly capable of. He died saving the city. And then I like this little moment from Jax. He's like, "Wait, that was the guy who went to the black hole." And then it's like, "He was a hero. You can be one too." Like I thought that was like this whole scene was just really well done.
Yeah, she's taken Martin Stein's role in convincing people to get themselves killed.
Hey, he'll be all right. This actor didn't want to leave the show, so Jax never wanted to be a hero. He said he wanted to go to college, but they couldn't afford it. Football was his way until it was taken from him. She knows it took something from him, but it also gave him something in return. He has the opportunity to join a team that's protecting people from losing what he lost. She believes he was meant to be a hero. Just then the lights start flickering. Hewitt shows up, says he's been looking for Snow and blasts Jax, knocking him down. He says she did this to him, but it's not what she promised. Jack throws something at him and it nails him in the back of the head, knocking him down. But they run and jump to the car heading to Star Labs as Hewitt gets up, absorbing the electricity. Did you want to get into your thing you were mentioning earlier about
Oh,
Hewitt?
yeah. So, as I said earlier, Henry Hewitt is a villain from the comics. I'm assuming Firestorm, like Firestorm comics. He, I'm not, I didn't note all of the like nitty-gritty details, but basically, I think there was this senator who Henry Hewitt is trying to bribe into like endorsing his company, like Hewitt Industries or
Hmm.
whatever, for the election.
Okay.
When the senator refuses, Hewitt kidnaps the dude's daughter, tries to
Jesus.
experiment on her and use the
My God.
Firestorm matrix on her, but he like the Wikipedia article said he brainwashed her and erased Firestorm, whatever that means. Maybe like erased another like the it having to be a two-person thing, so she could just like do it herself and be completely evil. That's what I got from
Huh.
that. Um, but then I think he either gets his own powers or he makes a suit and becomes a character named Tomahawk. I don't get why Tomahawk and not some kind of fire-related
Tomahawk?
thing. Yeah, well, okay, it's because the daughter of the senator is Firehawk, but that still doesn't like Tomahawk, Firehawk at least makes sense because Firestorm, Firehawk, Tomahawk, I'm like, what the fuck were you thinking with that one?
That's weird. Anyway, comics are
Yeah,
weird.
it was
But
like the 70s, I think.
cut back to Star Labs as she arrives with Jack. Stein is passed out on the bed, and the energy source ran out 30 minutes ago. His temperature is 102, rising fast. He's going into rapid oxidation, and they need to find a coolant. It's too late for that. Jax agrees to merge with them. He wants to be a part of something bigger, and Barry asks if he's sure there's like basically there's no going back from this. And then he looks over to Cisco. He says, "You said I could fly, right?" Cisco, damn right. He's like, "Okay."
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
Yeah, I like that little comedic break in the episodes. Like, you said I can fly, right? Damn right.
Yeah. And then Stein and him are about to merge, but before that, when they're like leading him over there, Stein is so out of it. He thinks he's talking to his wife Clarissa. I was like, poor Stein, like in my notes.
Yeah.
I felt
Yeah,
like
it's
really
it's
bad for
sad to
him
see the
here.
man in that state.
Yeah. Stein is happy Jefferson came back, but it's like his coach said, out of yourself and into the team. I like that whole thing of like 'cause like he's thinking outside of his like selfish, like narrow-minded point of view.
Yeah.
I would even because I think that Jax is hard on himself, but at the beginning of the episode 2 years ago, we see that he's a hero anyway. He didn't have to like he could have just ran with the rest of everybody, but he stopped and helped his friend on crutches like get in and helped everybody
Yeah.
get inside. And he's the one who like told everybody the thing was coming and everybody to run for cover. Like he could have just ran in there himself, but he made sure everybody was good before like the particle accelerator wave hit them.
Yeah. The dark matter.
Yeah, I thought that was like, it's like he's kind of like like it any like I feel like most good people probably don't always think they're good people and are like kind of critical. of themselves too, like
Yeah.
to an extent. And so I think it's probably one of those scenarios here, kind of same thing.
Yeah. That's probably what it is, yeah.
But yeah. So like Kaylin asks if Professor Stein is still there, and once Jax hears his voice, he humorously says, "Oh, I'll get Gray as my co-pilot," which I thought was really cool. They could have had like
Yeah,
their own solo series. I would have watched it.
I put that as a note. I said I would so watch a solo series of Firestorm, and it seemed like Legends was in development at this point, right? So
Oh
they
yeah,
already knew they were gonna, okay, because I was like
they
the
talk about it on
setup
the
at the
DVD.
okay, that makes sense because I was like the setup at the end kind of seems like they planned to do something else with Firestorm, but I was like it would have been so cool to get a Firestorm series and get people introduced to another character that they might not know all that much about more in depth outside of his appearances on Flash.
Yeah. So he's gonna take the new fused body for a test spin. Hewitt is absorbing the power at the football stadium that Jax was at the beginning of the episode. So Flash saves he runs on the field, saves two of the players that like Hewitt was trying to stop with like his powers. And he runs them to the stadium hallway and tells Cisco to cut the power so he can't get any more energy. Hewitt, furious to see Firestorm as like Jefferson, hits him with a blast, yelling he was supposed to be Firestorm, again, feeding into that kind of like comic book thing we kind of went into earlier a
Yeah,
bit.
except
But
here he doesn't even have a name, so we can't shit on him for
I'm
getting
glad,
a
I'm
bad
glad,
villain name.
I'm glad he wasn't called Tomahawk, man. That would have been
Yeah.
way too much explaining just to get to not really a great supervillain name.
Yeah, that's why it's like they could have just easily called him Deathstorm because I don't know if they ever did Deathstorm on the show.
They should have. I'm sure it's in a comic somewhere. So, wait,
We
we'll wait
talked
till
about
we
this
get
last
there.
time.
We'll wait till we get there. It'll be one of
Okay.
those things. We'll discover it with the show. So Stein tells Jax to relax and focus to steady himself, like as he gets knocked back, and focus on his natural athleticism to get control. And then, like, I have a quote here. It's like, "You okay?" And he's like, Barry's asking him. He's like, "I was a quarterback. I know how to take a hit," which I kind of like that
Yeah,
confidence from him.
that was a nice little bit of banter, and I want to take a second here
Yeah.
to shout out the VFX team for this. You
Yeah.
guys killed it with the Firestorm stuff on this episode. It looks fucking fantastic.
Yeah. I actually found out because I've listened to like some of the VFX stuff behind the scenes for this, like, and we kind of went over this when they did their interview, the body double stuff. So they had to like get like an actual like scan of him, like a body scan where they have like all these
Oh
little
yeah.
lights and everything. And it like, have him do all these different expressions and stuff and like map it out and like match the actor's like movements and everything, like his acting. And so with certain scenes, like what they do is they put the CG version over the body of like the actor in scenes, and so like they can kind of just seamlessly do it, which I thought was really cool. I know that they went over that in this, but actually, if you ever do get the DVD like combo box, you can actually see that in like the previds like get fused with the actual live action element
Oh,
and see that in
I've
action.
seen I've seen that done with like video games. Like they'll do it with like Seth Rogen in the new Call of Duty game. I saw a
Hmm.
video of him like going into this big metal contraption that just has a bunch of fucking cameras in it, and they're just scanning his different facial expressions and different facial features
Yeah.
to get his face into the game. They did it with Edward Norton when he was Hulk.
Nice. Like the power isn't the problem. His anger increases the power. He's like a Tokamat. The more powerful they become, the more unstable they become. Make him angry and he'll blow his fuse. They're gonna play a game of Catch Me If You Can. I love seeing him and Flash or any hero team up. Like I love when they have this kind of stuff. But
Yeah, that's why I like Brave and the Bold so much is just because it's Batman and this guy, like it's a team up.
yeah. So they both just taunt him and make fun of him for a bit until the new Firestorm delivers the finishing blow, knocking Hewitt out. Flash says not bad for the first go at it. He had pretty fantastic coach to help him through it, and he says, "Isn't that right, Gray?" And then like Stein says, despite my initial reservations, we make a pretty fantastic team. It's like I love this whole back and forth
Say
between
that
them.
again. No, I
Yeah,
was making a Fant Four stick joke. Say that again.
yeah. So like, welcome aboard Firestorm. Cut to jitters as Iris walks in. She meets with Francine. Um, like basically says
Oh,
like go over what her dad. I know goes over what her dad said and that she checked and she was telling the truth about her being sick. Said she'd never lied to her, but also something so about something so big. And Iris skeptically says, "Really?" And she thought she could give her another chance after hearing the news, but she's lying. She's like, you had like a kid after like basically a secret son, like after 8 months after you left. And she has a brother. It's like, who's the father? And she stops her from saying like anything else, saying she wouldn't know if it's the truth or not. She tells her to leave and stay away from her and her dad. And if he finds out that he has a son that he grew up without knowing, it would like crush him. Iris leaves. Man, cut to Team Flash outside of what I assume is Stein's house. So this is Stein's house, correct? Like we're assuming
yeah,
here.
it's yeah. I that's one of few things I remember from season one's Firestorm episode was the
Okay.
how Stein's house looked. I'm also, dude, I'm so excited for Wally to show up. I love the character of Kid Flash. I'm so dying to see him in the show.
It's gonna be great. But Hewitt burned himself out. If he's in the like he's in the pipeline until he agrees to be quiet about everything. Jesus, that's so sketchy. Stein's meeting in Pittsburgh with his wife in 3 days. A colleague who previously trained the old Firestorm agreed to trade in the new one. Stein hugs Caitlin.
Stein.
He said, "My dearest Dr. Snow," and tells her Ronald may be gone to them, but won't be forgotten. She gives Jax the device Ronnie used to find his way home and wants him to have it. He says it's strange being 50% of someone, but she says he's 100% a hero, which I thought was really sweet. So Cisco made the device better so that the splicing is smoother, and Stein says he knows he's scared, but his ability he has is a gift, not a curse, and it's natural to be apprehensive about the unknown. The thing about that makes it different is what basically the thing that makes him different makes him special, and that he should tell his friends. They merge and fly off dramatically. Joe says that was a hell of a leap that kid took with Stein, and there's a lesson in there somewhere for Barry. Well,
Yeah,
like I love that. That was what I was
he's
referring to earlier.
oh yeah, he's trying to get him to go for Patty, but yeah, like I have a note here that says, like I said earlier, it would have been so cool for Firestorm to get his own show because the way they tease it of like my colleague is going to help us learn to be Firestorm and along those lines, I was like, oh, that sounds like setup for a Firestorm series, but I'm pretty sure that was just like a tease of, hey, this is not the last time. Well, it's the last time on Flash you're going to see this character, but it's not the last time you're going to see this character in our universe. We're doing more stuff.
Definitely. So Barry goes into closing narration saying things aren't always what they seem. Our fears can play tricks on us, making us afraid to change ourselves, afraid to move on. But usually hidden behind our fears are second chances waiting to be seized. And then I have in parentheses, Barry runs through the city and Caitlin looks at a file pic of Stein and Ronnie. Second chances at life, updates it to Jax. Jax flies through the night sky at glory. Iris cries at family. Barry as Flash arrives at the bottom of some stairs at love. We see Patty at a table in a restaurant, and these opportunities don't come around every day. So when they do, we have to be brave. Back to Flash smiling, take a chance and grab them while we can. Back to Flash, and oh shit, his head is grabbed by a giant shark hand.
Please tell me your notes actually say, and oh shit, with an exclamation point.
They do.
That's fucking hell. That's hilarious. Mine just says, holy King Shark, me and my big mouth. Because earlier I had a note that's like, man, all this King Shark mention has really gone nowhere. Because they are clearly setting up for the next episode. I forgot that. So I just say, holy King Shark, me and my big mouth.
I forgot about this. But yeah, anyway, we see King Shark in all his glory holding up the Flash with dangling legs like he's a child. Zoom wants you dead. Oh, Zoom wants you dead. He says, Patty leaving the restaurant, walking outside. She sees King Shark about to kill Flash. Oh my God, it's real. Is what
Oh
she
my
says.
God, it's real.
And then she pulls a gun at him, yelling for him to put him down. Put your hands, your fins in the air.
Your fins in the air.
Yeah.
So funny.
He laughs, dropping him and turning towards her. Patty shoots him a few times, thinking some bullets are really going to do the job. Like our point last time with the guy that was made out of sand. Like, I mean, like, what is she supposed to
Yeah.
do is also my thing
Yeah.
too. Like at the end of the day, but I'm gonna make this a bigger point too after we're done with this and we can kind of get into this. But anyway, she empties the clip, so I'll get into this now. You think, and I think in the future they do a better job with this. You think at this point that they would be like, bullets aren't really getting the job done. Let's get some metahuman weapons. I think that definitely becomes a thing later.
Yeah, they should get the collars from I don't know if this is from the comics or if Young Justice just made this up, but they should get those collars, like the metahuman, anti-metahuman collars that like disable their powers, but just like have that as like one of their weapons in their arsenal, and then just be like, okay, we got the collar on, arrest him, but that could make it too easy.
Yeah. Like King Shark gets taken out by a blast from a gun. Like basically you see like as he falls, there's a hooded figure behind him. I put no, not that one.
My
But
God.
yeah, but Barry yells at him, asking him who he is, and he lowers the hood, revealing it's Wells. Closing credits. Man, what a
I'm Batman.
jam-packed episode. This is a jam-packed episode. You can tell by how long my notes were. We've been recording for a minute here, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have to cut parts of this down just to get it a little bit
Well, to
tighter.
be fair, there are a couple parts you have to edit out anyway where you had like fumbled over your words or had tech
Let's not
problems.
talk about how many times I
I
fumbled
didn't
over.
say exactly how many times. I just said you had a couple points that you had to edit out. That's all I'm saying.
The way you make it like sound like that, like every time you say it like that, it make it sound like as soon as the camera cuts off, like I spent a bunch of time like screaming at you or something. You're
But
like,
I'm used to too many people in my life doing that when I make jokes like that. So it's just sort of a reflex.
nah, bro, you're good. Like you would have to
I
really try to do something to like upset me, basically.
Well, yeah, yeah.
That's not an invitation
I've
though. Don't be
noticed.
like
No, I'm not about to. But yeah, no. It's yeah, no, guys. Alex, as nice as he is on camera, is about what he is off camera and off mic when we're in text and stuff.
Thank
He's
you,
a great
man. I
dude.
appreciate it. But yeah, like I try to like, always have like a fun, fun welcoming atmosphere. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into our just final thoughts. So overall, love the episode. Like overall.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would are we doing ratings and stuff?
Yeah, we definitely are. I would just say, like I said earlier, this is a jam-packed episode. You guys might have noticed there was a lot of notes in this one. It was because this one was very plot heavy, but like also
Yeah.
very like narratively set. There was a lot of setup in this episode, I feel like.
Yeah. As
Yeah.
we see with all the mentions of King Shark and him finally being revealed at the end, this was definitely set up the episode.
Yeah, definitely. But I would just go ahead and do my heart humor spectacle, then you do yours. My heart would probably be just the stuff with like Iris and her mom and everything, like just all that stuff. That was definitely the standout. There was so many people fighting for like center stage, and between her and the Firestorm element and like Stein and everything, I think it's like definitely Iris
Yeah.
and like Firestorm definitely should share like co-billing in this. Like this is their episode. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, like that stuff was great. Humor would be just Patty being a golden retriever with the whole thing of like she can't lie, that whole poker face thing where she can't lie in just all like her adorable scenes basically. And then spectacle, what else could it be? That final shot with King Shark, him holding him
Ooh.
up like
Yeah.
he's like dangling him like he's a child. You see like his limp legs and everything. But yeah, that's all my heart humor
Yeah.
spectacle. I guess like after that we'll go into ratings, but what are your heart humor and spectacle?
So mine, my heart's definitely the same as yours. All the stuff with Iris and Joe and Francine, that's definitely like the episode's about Firestorm, yes, but the heart of it is definitely Iris, Joe, and Francine. That's some of the best stuff in this episode.
Yeah.
Humor, for me, it was more Cisco than Patty with his line of like, are we just gonna make a Tinder app for metahumans? Like that one got me. That one made me chuckle a little bit. And yeah, my spectacle is also the same as yours, just King Shark.
Nice. But yeah, I would give it like, This is a really good episode. I think I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 lightning bolts, actually.
Yeah,
Just for that
same.
stuff with her and her mom, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say I would go as far as to give this one a 5 out of 5. It's definitely one of the best so far.
Definitely. So,
We
all that
should
being
at the end of this,
Oh,
by the
what's
way,
up?
we should go on Tier Maker and make a tier list of like all of our rankings for every episode.
Yeah, we can go at the end and like kind of track down and see where we what we rank the different episodes. But yeah, so anyway, all that being said, you go ahead and get into your plugs, I'll do my plugs, and then we'll get out of here.
Alrighty. So if you're a frequent listener, obviously you can find me here on Flashbacks, a Flash Rewatch podcast. You can also listen to me at Tismo Talks, a comic book podcast available on Spotify and YouTube. Not to go too much into anything, me and Alex and maybe a couple other people have a new show that might be coming next year. So definitely be on the lookout for that. I'm not going to publicly like mention anything about it or like show the logo or anything that I just designed, even though I think it's really a good like logo and stuff. But yeah, we've got a new podcast coming up next year. I will be producing that show, so yeah, be on the lookout for that. Um, if you want to see some me just chilling out, playing some video games, you can subscribe to my gaming channel on YouTube, Zerd Games, capital Z, capital G. My links are also in the description on my link tree, as well as something I'm very proud of, my merch. You can go on Teespring. I think the link is in my link tree, and you can buy yourself some t-shirts, some hoodies, some stickers. Spring doesn't let me edit the price of the hoodies, so they're like fucking $40. I wish I could make it lower. The site physically would not allow me to lower it, but yeah, if you want some cool stuff with my avatar drawn by a guy named Swampy, whose links are also in my bio because he drew my profile picture. Um, you can also find me in Newverse Creative's most recent Batman audio drama, where I played a thug who got his ass kicked by Batman. That was really cool. I may or may not have a couple other things coming where I am in some minor and major roles in some Newverse Creative projects. So be on the lookout for that. Check out the Minnow Bricks YouTube channel where I am the voice of Robin, Spider-Man, and a couple other characters. I think I'm Superman in that stuff too, but yeah, just a lot of voice acting stuff. Oh, and the Arkham tapes. Not allowed to say who I'm playing or what my role is, but check me out in that. You guys know that when all of that is announced, I will definitely, definitely tell you guys when I am allowed to. I'm trying to think of anything else. No, I think that is it.
All right, cool. So, I'm Alex. Obviously, you can find me on here, Flashbacks, a Flash Rewatch podcast, where we cover every single episode of the CW Flash show, as well as other Flash related things on our off seasons or just in between, depending on, whatever. I also am a co-host of Superhero Stuff You Should Know, with Ben. Go check that out. And then also I do Night of the Batman. We cover everything Batman related. That's a rebooted version of my original Batman review podcast, my very first kind of review show. It wasn't originally a podcast, it was just kind of a review show. And like go check that out. It's me and my wife host it. It is her show. She will tell you that. And also, if you're a fan of my wife like I am, there is the Review More Girls where she does a rewatch podcast with her and her cousin. That's a very family focused TV show, and so they relate it to their personal like family life and kind of they are their own like they're their own characters, kind of like Rory, and I'm forgetting what the other character it's Lorelai, I think the other one is. They're very
I
similar to
think
those
so.
two. They're very similar to those two characters, and so definitely check that out. That's a really fun show. And I also have Tangential Exchange. I do with my friend Trip. That's more of just a general like life podcast where we just try to make each other laugh and talk about whatever comes to our mind. And What Mean will make a comeback eventually whenever I have time. But anyway, all that being said, we're just gonna go ahead and end the show because I'm tired and I need to go to bed. So,
I don't
uh,
blame you.
Brady, and 3, 2, 1, if you're ready,
Yep.
we will see
We'll
you in
see you
the
in the Speed
Speed
Force.
Force.